Hello and welcome to Prudent IAS, one-stop solution for all the competitive exams. As you all know that India is the world's largest democracy, and in any democracy what is most important? Elections. Who is the guardian of the democracy? The one who will conduct these elections. And who is that? Election Commission of India. So yes, today's topic is the Election Commission of India, which is under the Polity section. It was established in 1950. India's Election Commission stands as a constitutional pillar. It ensures free, fair elections across the world's largest democracy, India. The Commission operates with complete independence. Is it complete independence or not? We'll look at in the upcoming slides. Three commissioners serve 6-year term or 65 years of age after presidential appointment. So just the insights about the topic. Now we'll do some discussion on this topic, give you a model question as well as a model answer. Most of you must be aware which question we are going to answer today, but all of you who have not yet joined our Telegram group, Answer Writing by Prudent IAS, do join it today, because there we evaluate one answer daily at no cost. You can also access others' answers. You can look at the evaluation and get some feedback as well. So first, let's do some general discussions and then we'll move slide by slide. The first general election was conducted in 1951-52, where 17 crore registered voters had voted, were there, right? From 1951-52 till present, there have been a number of reforms, a number of changes. What are those? We'll be looking at these in more detail. Under Article 326, which is universal adult franchisee, we all have our right to vote. Now, one important point under this, first up is, this is guaranteed by Article 326. Universal adult franchise means that anyone above the 18 year of age can vote. If you will read about the constitutional debate, then you will also come to know that this question was also raised, that why this age is 18. But earlier it was 21 years of age, right? Later it was reduced to 18 years of age. Another important point to notice, these rights are not fundamental right. This is right to vote is our constitutional right, because it is given in an article of the Constitution, Article 326, but not under the fundamental rights. So yes, we have right to vote, a constitutional right, where at present we have the voting age is 18 years. Earlier it was 21st. How it was changed, we'll look. Till 1988, as per Article 326, 21 years was the voting age. But post 1988, that is 1989, when the 61st constitutional amendment was brought in, it lowered the age to 18 years. Now what this did was, earlier because of the age was more, 21, and now 18. Number of voters also increased, right? So when there will be more voters, then we'll need more manpower to handle them, to conduct the elections. So what happened was, earlier when the age was 21, we had single person election commission. But when we lowered the age, the voters also increased. Then we made it a 3-member body with 1 chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioners. Briefly, in 1990, the situation was reversed. We again went back to 1-member body, but again it was switched back. So at present, what is important to note, at present, it is a 3-member body. Part 15, Article 324 to 329 is all about Election Commission of India, the conduct of elections, where it mentions that, Article 324 explicitly mentions that the elections of Parliament, State Assembly, President and Vice President will be conducted by the Election Commission of India. Now, is it all? No. Very important point to note is, Parliament, State Assembly, President and Vice President. But if we look at 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, then this brought in the third tier, that was the local bodies. So who conducts the election to the local bodies? Not the Election Commission, but the State Election Commission, SECs. Now, Election Commission of India is different. State Election Commission of India is different. Both work in their separate spheres. You need to keep in mind that Election Commission will not conduct the elections of the local bodies. It is under the State Election Commission. So this was just some general discussion. Now let's move slide by slide. We have approximately 700 million registered voters, which makes us the largest electoral base worldwide. 700,000 polling stations across diverse geographical regions, because we have more number of voters. India too, we have general elections conducted throughout India, so polling stations are also many in number. 5 million temporary workers who are mobilized during the general elections, because we need manpower to conduct elections on this huge level. Elections are truly like a festival in India, I believe. Now, what is the relevance for this in UPSC? Of course, GS paper 2, directly under the constitutional bodies, governance and electoral reforms, separation of powers. Why? Because when we'll read about this topic, then we'll realize that though there are some constitutional safeguards, but yet executive often impinges upon the powers, and the Election Commission is not free from the executive. How so? We'll look in the upcoming slides. Now, in the essay paper, democracy and the role of institutions might pop up. Free and fair elections, a myth or reality? A very important debate. Is it actually a myth when criminalization of politics is happening, corruption is happening, money, muscle, power is being used? So what actually is the role of Election Commission? Is it actually able to address all these problems or not? What are the loopholes? In the essay paper, we can look at all these dimensions. In the prelims as well, the articles are important. The basic compositions, powers of ECI can be asked. So it is of course a constitutional authority, autonomous constitutional authority, which is responsible for administering election process in India at both the national and state levels, but not at the local levels. It will ensure free, fair and impartial elections, which form the bedrock of the Indian democracy. See, my purpose of framing these slides is, when I'll teach in the full sentences, then this will help you in writing the answers. We all, from the previous slide, when we did some general discussion, everyone has that knowledge that, okay, general election happened, then this happened, a storytelling. But what words are you going to use? How you are going to phrase sentences? That's the purpose of these slides. So it ensures it ensures free and fair elections, which is the bedrock of Indian democracy. What is the constitutional mandate? Now look at the terminology as well. Created under the Article 324 of the Constitution to safeguard the electoral process. Now, let's just look at quickly at a glance on all the provisions, important provisions. First up is Article 324, which is about the superintendent's direction and control of elections. Article 325, one general electoral roll for every constituencies. If you will read in detail, then you will realize how the constituencies are distributed. They can be changed. Electoral rolls are being rolled out under Article 325. Then 326, another important article, which gives us the adult suffrage, that is elections to the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies based on the universal adult suffrage. 327 and 322, 329 is the power to make laws, bar jurisdiction of courts in the electoral matters. So some powers have also been given. Read it along with articles, and wherever required, just quote all the articles. What is the composition of ECI? Initially, as mentioned, from 1950, when it was established, there was just one Chief Election Commissioner, one CEC, but since 1989, the reason already mentioned, after 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, there was a multi-member body, one Chief Election Commissioner and 2 Election Commissioners. Now, what is the appointment and tenure? This is where the major loophole is present. The appointment is made by the President of India. Again, role of executive will come in soon. There is no collegium system. Okay? What is the tenure? Yes, the constitutional safeguard is of a fixed tenure, that is 6 years or 65 years of age, whichever is earlier. Chief Election Commissioner can be removed in the same manner as a Supreme Court judge by the Parliament on the grounds of proven misbehavior or incapacity with the special majority. Yes, these are all the constitutional safeguards, but we'll come and look at the loopholes very soon. So here what you need to keep in mind is the word impeachment is just used for president's removal and not for CEC or judge's removal. Here what is mentioned is same as Supreme Court judge on 2 grounds, proven misbehavior and incapacity with special majority. How can election commissioners can be removed? They can be removed by the president on the recommendation of the CEC. Now, what it does is clearly makes the election commissioners subordinate to the Chief Election Commission, which is a very major loophole, because time and again the judgments have said that the Chief Election Commissioner and the election commissioners hold equal power. But because of this removal process, somehow this is diluted, because election commissioners can be removed by mere recommendation of Chief Election Commission to President. So the current practice it is operating on the principle of equal power and decisions are made by majority. Since it's a 3-member body, the majority decision will prevail. What are the power and functions if we look at it in some detail? First up is the electoral roll management. Just look at the terminology. You already have some conceptual clarity in points. Focus on the framing on sentences. It prepares, maintains and revises the electoral rolls to ensure all eligible citizens can participate in the democratic process. It will supervise the nomination process of the candidates and ensure the compliance with eligibility criteria. So the word important here is that it will ensure that there is some compliance with the eligibility criteria and no non-eligible candidate is filing the nomination. Then symbol allocation, it allots the symbol to political parties and independent candidates as well to help the voters identify their preferred choices. Of course, it conducts the elections to the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, state legislatures for the President and the Vice President of India. Quasi-judicial functions, because it will decide on the disputes regarding the recognition of the political parties, allotment of election symbols. So, it is doing some judicial function as well. That's why it is a quasi-judicial body as well. Advisory functions, of course, it advises the President or the Governor on the matters related to disqualification of MPs and MLAs under the 10th schedule, that is the anti-defection law. The functions I hope are clear to you all. Very easy to understand, just the election related process. Now the independence of the ECI. Usually UPSC is inclined more towards these critical points, these critical topics, that the basics, powers, functions, articles can be asked in prelims, but in mains when you have to write some subjective answers, your depth of analysis is checked. See, they have security of tenure, that is 6 years or 65 years of age, whichever is earlier. The conditions of service cannot be altered to his or her disadvantage, another constitutional safeguard. No interference by the executive, as said, as pretended by the constitution, but yes, there is some interference. See, in the functioning part, there is no interference when the elections are being conducted, but while appointing, it is a major interference. So it is not answerable to any authority for how it conducts the elections. So it has huge powers how to conduct elections, and elections are the bedrock, right? So Election Commission of India is most important considering we are a democracy. But there are some limitations. For example, there is no separate independent recruitment or budgetary control. Now, on this huge scale, if we are conducting elections, what we need? First, we need funds. Second, we need manpower. There is no separate independent recruitment mechanisms. Usually the government employees are recruited, right? The budgetary control, they don't have the budgetary control neither for themselves nor they can control the party finances. Now heavily reliant on the executive for infrastructure and manpower. So see, if you are not influencing in one way but in the other way, yes, indirectly they are dependent on the government, on the executive, because they will be requiring the funds, infrastructure and the manpower. So yes, some constitutional safeguards but the limitations as well. Very important in polity, you need to quote articles, you need to quote some judgments. So we'll just glance through important judicial pronouncements. First up is the SS Dhanova case in 1991. What happened? Election commissioners are not equal to the Chief Election Commission in the status or protection. So this was said by the Supreme Court, but this judgment was reversed in the TN Session case in 1995, where it clarified that all the members, whether the CEC or the election commissioners, they are equal in the decision making, and therefore the decision is now taken by the majority. The Chief Election Commissioner does not have a veto power. PUCL versus Union of India 2003, the Supreme Court upheld the voters' right to know candidates' background via affidavits, right? Very important regarding the voters' right. But the above two cases are about the position of Chief Election Commission and the election commissioners. What are the recent reforms and debates and recommendations? First up, Election Laws Amendment Act 2021. The major feature was Aadhaar voter ID linkage. Very simple to understand, so I'm not exaggerating. And to limit on cash donations and the electoral bonds. Yes, it is a very controversial point because somehow they get the cash donations and the electoral bonds as well. But there has been a check on the funding. Use of EVMs, electronic voting machines, VVPATs, to ensure transparency. Earlier it was pen and paper, but now we are using digital technology, we are using EVMs. Then too, there are allegations of malfunctioning of EVMs or hacking of EVMs. Well, so the proposal for simultaneous elections, the talks are going on about the one nation, one election. With one nation, one election, again the debate can be, in a country like India, considering the number of voters, world's largest democracy, will it be feasible? Will it be possible to conduct the elections at one time? And what happens if the assemblies dissolve? So a number of debate can emerge from this particular topic as well. Now, Law Commission and committees, Second ARC and Law Commission, very important in the 255th report. Transparent appointment of election commissioners. Now, the second ARC recommended that a collegium system must be formed to appoint the CC and the election commissioners. Independent secretariat, they must be given some manpower, finances, so that they can function independently during the time of elections. Equal protection for all the commissioners. Why CEC is getting some powers and ECs are not? We need to protect all equally, because in the end of the Supreme Court has said that they all are equal in the TN Session case. We need to implement that as well. What are the criticism and challenges? First up is the opaque appointment process. As already mentioned, there is no collegium or parliamentary oversight at present. Allegation of bias, especially during the general elections. It of course comes. Delayed action on the Model Code of Conduct. MCC is the Model Code of Conduct. The MCC, ROP, Representation of People Act. You need to read about these and note down all the key features. So, on the Model Code Conduct violations or hate speech, if during elections a candidate is violating the Model Code of Conduct, then the action taken by Election Commission is too delayed, which fails the purpose, right? Dependence on the government machinery for funding and staff is already mentioned. The Election Commission of India has been unable to arrest the violence and electoral malpractices resulting in criminalization of politics. Very important, because sometimes the booth is hijacked, right? The goons and the gundas, they will come and hijack the whole booth, electoral booth, and they will even threat the voters. So this is happening, which is leading to corruption and the malpractices. And it is still existing. Election Commission of India is not able to arrest the deterioration in the politics. That is a criminalization of politics. So what are the way forward or the reforms we can suggest? Collegium, of course, see, on the lines of the problems, we'll write the reforms. If there is no collegium, please bring in the collegium, which is similar to the Chief Vigilance Commission or the NHRC. Statutory backing for ECI's autonomy. There must be some legal backing. Financial independence, because there is no funding and staff. So yes, we need separate budget from the Consolidated Fund of India for Election Commission of India, considering that it is so important for India's democracy. Now, stricter enforcement for Model Code of Conduct. Yes, so that the violations can be checked, criminalization of politics can be tackled. Greater transparency in the electoral funding, especially the electoral bonds, the most controversial ones. Now let's quickly jump to the main segment of our video, which is always the model question and the model answer, because this is an answer writing series. After this series, I'll be bringing the details of each topic. The playlist will be separate for each subject. I'll teach each topic in detail. For now, let's quickly jump to the question. Despite being a constitutional body, the Election Commission of India lacks full independence. Discuss. Now, we have a number of points to write, right? But the word limit is just 150. And the keyword here is discuss. So we can write about all the sides. For example, first we'll address, yes, how it is a constitutional body, some safeguards, then how it lacks full independence. Then, because discuss leaves room for all the sides, we can even mention some Supreme Court rulings, but keeping in mind the word limit. As I always suggest, just pause this video, write an answer yourself. What you can do is just send us your sample answer in the group Answer Writing by Prudent IAS, or when I'll tell about the sample answer, we'll discuss the sample answer, you can do some self-evaluation. Make sure while writing the answer, you just look at the timer. So, because time is very important in the answer writing. What is the model answer? Basic structure, not going to repeat. Introduction, body and conclusion, skip this heading, start from here. Insights about the topic, that is the Election Commission of India was established under Article 324. You can also mention Part 15 of the Constitution. It is entrusted with the responsibility of conducting free and fair elections. So what we have done is given some facts and basic function of the Election Commission of India. That's enough for a 10-mark question. Now in the body of the answer, we are following simple heading and subheading structure. You can use flowcharts. I don't restrict you from using these, but just make them neat, clean, presentable, aligned, avoid congestion, avoid cutting, all the parameters which I have reiterated number of times in all the videos. So just give a heading which needs to be highlighted, then subheadings. See, what happens here is, some students say that while writing the subheadings, they do not have some matter to write under the subheadings. What you can do is, if you have more data, you can choose subheading and then write a point. If you have less, then skip the subheading and just write the point directly. But number the points using 1, 2, 3 or ABC, and the headings must be clear. They must address the demand of the question. So first dimension, constitutional safeguards of ECI is being addressed. Election Commission of India. Make it self-explanatory, right? What we have written is, the Chief Election Commission enjoys the security of tenure removal through the parliamentary impeachment. The conditions of the service cannot be altered to the disadvantage. Structural and operational limitations which exist, that is, which are inhibiting it being a independent body. We have used subheadings over here. So the removal of the election commissioners, very debated because they lack the same removal protection as the Chief Election Commission. Already discussed. Appointment process is made solely by the executive. There is no collegium, no legislative oversight. Dependence on the government machinery. It relies heavily on the state or local officers for the and the budgetary allocations as well. So we have already done the discussion. Just focus on the structure. We have not breached the word limit. Dimensions are clearly addressed. Structure is simple. What you can do is, well, handwriting the answer, just underline all the keywords, right? No collegium, etc. Very simple. As mentioned, because the question said discuss, you can add the key judgments if you have word limit at hand. SS Dhanova case and the TN Session case, because these two ultimately reverse the judgment. You can write one of these, you can write two, you can write more. Just make sure do not breach the word limit. Another important point which you need to keep in mind, time and again, I am reminding you, handwriting. Please start working on handwriting. Handwriting needs to be neat, legible, good hold on language proficiency as well. If you have any difficulty in any of these parameters in understanding any of the topic, you can just write in the comment section below or reach us through the social media, Telegram, Instagram. Now, conclusion, the most omitted part, no matter what the topic is, no matter, you are not going to abruptly end on the key judgments of the way forward. You will write a summarizing line. Now here the summarizing line is going to be, while the Election Commission of India is a constitutional guardian of democracy, reforms in appointment, protection and funding are necessary to ensure its independent functioning, free from the executive influence. So what we are doing is, yes, it is the constitutional guardian of democracy. Reforms are required where appointment, protection, funding, all the challenges, jo bhi challenges we have read na, just jot it down. Appointment mein there were some challenges, in the protection, safeguards and in the funding. And then it will make it free from the executive influence. A summarizing, positive, balanced conclusion. So this is it for today. I hope you have pretty much clarity about this topic. If you have any more questions, just write it down in the comment section. Subscribe our channel Prudent IAS and join our Telegram group Answer Writing by Prudent IAS. We'll be back with another video super soon. Thanks for watching.